Guys, I'm back. I had a little issue with dehydration. I have that issue a lot. And here's a little fact for you. For everybody who's younger and older, I do not promote this at all. But if you drink, the only way to help either diminish a hangover or stop a hangover completely is have one drink, one glass, and a glass of water. One alcoholic beverage, then a glass of water. Not saying go out and drink. No, 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 no. Honestly, I honestly hate the taste of alcohol. I hate it. Can't stand it. So if you guys like it, you do you. I have no control over you. But I do not recommend going out and drinking. Just saying, hangovers caused by dehydration. So you can technically get a hangover while not drinking alcohol. And I have that problem because A, I don't drink enough water, and B, when I do drink enough water, I either sweat it all out or I'm just compensating for the day before, so I overhydrate. And that also causes problems. So that's, if I just drop off the face of the earth, either overhydrated, which is very bad for you, or dehydrated, which is also bad for you. That's why I was been gone for so long. I really wanted to do this. I'm so sorry that I haven't been able to get on, but that's a little issue I have. So if I just drop out, and I'm going to be responding to people on YouTube and on Discord. Like if you guys ask me, hey, I thought you were going to post today. I may respond to you. I may not, depending on how I feel. So let's get into this. We skip a week. So she was a week in. Now it's 2-ish weeks in. Everybody knows her abilities. Almost like the back of their hand, but she's still very selective of who gets to see her training. Because she's been told that she can't go training or out of school training without either military or police supervision. Because she can't activate her quirk without setting off the alarms. And since the heroes do shadow her, she just tells them to call the cops and tell them that she's training. Since the heroes are scared of her, they say sure. And they try to keep at least one regeneration quirk, one fire quirk to overheat her and dry her out, which is really hard to do, but it still can happen. And one air quirk, because if you give somebody too much air to breathe, they could suffocate on the air. Very rarely, though. It's very hard to do. But anybody wants to learn that, go watch this show called Eureka. Great show. One episode in, I think it's season 3 or 4, where one of the characters breathes in too much oxygen and it over oxygenates his blood and he starts feeling loopy, like he's drunk. So let's go to, they're in school. She's in the back of the class sleeping because she already knows everything that Aizawa is teaching. He's teaching like the hero's code, what is the difference between a hero and just a vigilante, and everybody's like, that's just the license, and he goes, hell no. So they're learning all this. She's already know this, so she's sleeping in the back. Katsuki's still sitting right in front of her, and Mina's sitting right next to her. And by this time, 5 guys and Katsuki have a crush on her, but she's not interested in anything. But she does act interested in Katsuki. or Bakugo. Female cat Bakugo. So we go to... Later that day, it's after lunch. Everybody walks back in. Aizawa says, "Okay, problem children, you're not my problem anymore." 3, 2, 1. Nezu walks in, and he's like, "I thought it was All Might." And he goes, No, we have a problem. And I'll tell you that later, but everybody, get your hero suits on." And he waves his hand, and she just poofs into water. And everybody looks back and sees that she just poofed into water, and they're like, "What the hell just happened?" And he goes, "Wow. She now has that ability under complete control. Looks like her training went overboard." And all of a sudden, they hear a rumble, and everything starts to shake. And they're like, "What just happened?" And he goes, "Be right back." And he walks out, and they hear him talking to somebody. And he walks back in saying, "Okay, now we're doing this in training ground beta, not gamma." And I was like, "What? You're going to the city, not the industrial area." And he goes, and Nezu goes, "Yes, the industrial area has a giant hole in the center now. We're going to need to clean that up before we can use it again." And he goes, "What the hell? Why?" And Nezu goes, "Sorry, but you're going to have to do this. All Mights will join you in the middle, and I was going to, but now I have to oversee the reconstruction of ground gamma. So, sorry." And he's like, "God damn it. Problem children, get your suits on and get out there, or you're all expelled." And they all see these suits, and there's one suit that's missing. They have 10, 12, 14. They have 2, 4. They got all the even numbers, none of the odds. They have no odds. And they're looking at this, and it goes 20, 24, and they're like, "Where the hell is 22? And Aizawa goes, "22 is that seat back there." And he points to the seat where Izumi sits. And they go, "Wait, what?" And he goes, "Well, the only thing she ever wears is what she currently is wearing. So, yeah, we don't need to give her a hero costume." So they walk out to Grand Beta after getting changed, and he's like, "You're 10 seconds late." And currently there's a knocked out Izumi on the floor with Aizawa's foot on her gut area. Not her stomach, which is in the middle of the chest. Her gut. So abdomen. Where you would see abs on someone. Abdomen. And she's like, "Get off of me. It's hard to breathe." And he goes, "That's your own damn fault for attacking me." And she goes, "It wasn't me." And he goes, "I know, but you still attacked me." And they see his eyes glowing, and they go, what? And they look over because they hear snoring on the side of the area, and they see the 3 heroes. A few cuts, scrapes, and bruises on them. One of them's now missing an arm, and they're like, "What? What?" And he goes, "She used the wrong sword for practice." And they go, wait, she has a practice sword?" And he goes, "Yeah, that one." And he points at a sword that's currently in a case. And this case is maybe half of All Might size, thin-wise, and as tall as All Might. And he goes, "That is as heavy as All Might can squeeze a strength machine." And he pulls out a squeeze thingy, and All Might's like, "Oh, I am here." And he tosses it to All Might, and All Might starts squeezing it. And they see the number on Aizawa's phone, and it just says error. And he goes, "Still not able to calculate it with this small one." Oh, yeah, that's what she can do. And Kirshima's like, can't be that heavy. And he walks over and he's like, and all my and as are like, you can do that. If you get hurt, it's not our fault. And Kirishima hardens his arm and grabs it, and the the sword does not have any defense mechanism like Samehara. It's like Kubikiri Bocho. It looks like Kubikiri Bocho. And he tries lifting it, and he can't move it anywhere. And she's finally like, screw this. So she picks Aizawa up by his ankle, puts him down, walks over, grabs the training sword, and throws it on her back like it's a piece of paper. Yes, she's that strong. And she did this with one hand. Because I'm adding the strength of the hatchet wielder, the helmet splitter, or Kubikiri Bocho's wielder, Zabuza, Kisame. I'm adding the strength of all of them. And Kisame's extra vitality gives him a strength boost too, so it helps with his strength. Because he can empower himself with chakra, but she can't empower herself with chakra, but she can still control and manipulate water to make semi-water clones. And it popped because something landed on it. Yeah. So they'll look at her and go, "You're not going to use that, are you?" And she goes, "Oh, no. This is the training weight." And all of a sudden, this mist starts rolling in from the side of the arena, and she pulls out the needle, and she throws it. And it's like a javelin at this point, and it goes right past Kirishima's head. And it sticks into a wall, and she tugs a wire. And all of a sudden, Kirishima feels a tightening on his head, so he hardens his head. And it's still tightening really hard, and he still feels it. And she goes, "No, I'm using this." "Oh, don't worry." And she pulls it and makes it vibrate and makes it make a sound like a violin chord or a guitar chord. And all of a sudden he feels a sharp pain, and then it's gone. And he's touching his head, and he feels this wire, and he's like, "How the hell?" And she goes, "That is what I've been training to do." And they're like, "You've been training? You've been sleeping all class every day." And she goes, "No. That would be my water clone, if you want to call it that. It's literally just an image of me looking like water. Or just an image of me in water. So I literally sit down, make the water surround me, since I do have some water control. And she explains how it works, and I'm like, wow. How does it respond? And she goes, "Oh, no. Whenever I respond to you, that's because I'm actually there." I'm like, "So you're there 90% of the time?" And she goes, No. I'm not there 90% of the time. The 10% of the time that you actually talk to me, I'm there." I go, "What?" And Kasuki starts giggling at this because she's noticed. Because there's a scar on one side of Izumi's face that's just barely noticeable by Kasuki. And that one scar is not visible on the clone. So Kasuki just ignores the clone and starts talking to Izumi whenever Izumi actually shows up to make the image appear real. So Izumi has been practicing with the needle and the rest of them. So she says, "I'll only use the needle, the one I'm least proficient in, but on one condition." And they go, "What is that condition?" She goes, "That condition is if you find a way to stop me." And Aizawa goes, Hold up. We have one villain, and 19 heroes here. We need flags. And she goes, true. No, we don't. I'm the only villain. You know that, right? And he goes, yeah. And All Might's just standing there grinning, and he's like, should I step in? Should I not? Should I step in? Try to balance this out, make it fair. And he finally looks at the girl that's currently behind him, who's wielding the training blade, because he hasn't looked at her. And he finally turns around and sees her, and because he was remembering the voice a little, and he's like, no, it can't be. He sees her, and then he immediately goes in for a punch. And she pulls Kubikiri Bocho out and shatters it against his punch. She used the back of the blade to stop the force of the punch, but the shrapnel goes straight into her throat, almost cutting her head off, but her spinal cord's still there. So she's gasping for air, and all of a sudden, water starts flooding out of her veins, and they're like, shouldn't there be blood? And her entire body just poofs into mist. Because there's still mist around her. And all of a sudden, Bakugo feels an arm on her shoulder being like, damn, he's fast. And Bakugo starts laughing her ass off because she kind of saw this coming, because Izumi was that one kid who bragged whenever someone challenged them, but didn't openly brag when someone just was bragging about their stuff. So she's just like, meh, when someone's bragging, but whenever someone challenges him, they are like, I'm the best, he can't hurt me, kind of bragging. And she goes, I gotta quickly finish this match. Wait. No, I don't. Oh, no, why? And they all look at her and going, why? And she goes, well, all I have to do is, she walks up to All Might, who's currently breathing heavy from that one punch. They think, oh, he went full out because he thought this was a villain. No. She flicks his side and goes, ow, that hurt. And she goes, yeah. It helps when you can sense when people are hurt in the mist. It also helps that you can make people see what you want in the mist and other stuff, but the mist is my domain. And he goes, damn. So she walks into the mist, and there's a ding on Aizawa's cell phone, and it says, I'm ready, send them in. And he goes, well, game starts now, All Might, go to Recovery Girl. And he goes, oh, fine. So he jumps off to Recovery Girl. Once he lands, poof, he's now in Small Might form. And Recovery Girl's finally walking back into her office. He walks in and be like, ow, I hurt. And she goes, new girl? And he goes, no. Villain. And she goes, yeah, new girl. And he goes, what do you mean? Why do we have a villain in campus? And Nezu comes in and be like, that's not a villain. You haven't seen her on campus because I've forbidden you from going to Class 1A for the moment. But since I was like, hey, why don't we have Class 1A and Class 1B try to take her down? And he goes, so she's not a villain? And he goes, no, not anymore. She's in the villain rehab program. So, and he goes, but she's still a villain. And he goes, yes, but she's in the rehab program. So she's still a villain. And he goes, fine, she's a villain. But she's not doing anything villainy, so you can't arrest her unless you have proof of her being a villain within the last 24 hours. And he goes, oh yeah, true. And since she hasn't done anything for at least a week and a half now, right? And he looks at Recovery Girl and she goes, she has beaten up the people that we sent to train with her. And he goes, well, they also signed a contract that says all injuries are not able to be pressed. They are not able to press charges because they're openly accepting the challenge from her to fight her. So she's not able to be touched by the legal system yet. And he goes, what? So he literally put her outside of the legal system. She goes, yeah, and he was the one who did that. And he goes, no, I just agreed to the terms and conditions of her deal. And All Might gets filled in on the deal that Nezu made. And we go back to the team, and Azar goes, hold up, come back. And she's like, what do you want? And everybody freaks out like, what just happened? And he goes, Class 1B needs to get here, so drop the stupid labyrinth that you just made. And she's fine. So the mist starts fading away, and it's just a little fog on the ground, where just hiding everybody's feet. And he goes, all of it. And she goes, fine. So everybody can see their feet now. The mist is completely gone. There's a few puddles here and there. And everybody looks at her like, what? And he goes, I know you put it in the locker room. And she goes, no, I didn't just put it in the locker room. I'm holding it around that one douche, Mineta. And he goes, true. Okay, you can leave it on him, but point everybody else in this direction. And she goes, I already did. Once you told me to put it away, I already did. And they all go, wait, who? And Vlad goes, Aizawa, I thank you for the invite to this. And he goes, I didn't invite you. It was all Nezu's doing. And he goes, well, I have a challenge for you. And he goes, up. We're here to correct the behavior of 3 students. You know exactly which 3 students. So, let's put everybody in the ring. And he goes, right on, I'll get the popcorn. And everybody hears that and goes, what? What? And he goes, good man. I got $20 on Izumi. He goes, damn it, I was gonna bet on her. And Izumi starts laughing her ass off. And she's like, can I summon the fog now? And he goes, no, wait for 1B to get here. I'll go to the room. So he starts running off to the room. And Vlad runs off to the lounge, the teacher's lounge, and starts making popcorn. So he runs back, and Nezu catches him and says, bring me with you. And Vlad's like, sure thing. And Midnight sees Nezu riding on Vlad's shoulder and is like, I must see this. And starts running with it. So, little side note, my laugh hurts when I'm either dehydrated or overhydrated. I haven't quite been completely overhydrated before, but I have been overhydrated a little. My laugh hurts, so that's why I didn't record, because I know you guys like my laugh, because it brings the mood from dark and depressing to, what the hell just happened? So, I'm back. I'm uploading 2. This is going to be an extra long one, and then I'm going to be recording another one after this. It's going to be charged, which hopefully I can get correct, because I haven't asked anybody about that yet. I need to ask and see where I am. So, I know exactly where I'm going with that. The entrance exams and other stuff. But back on the heroes versus villains. So Class 1B walks in, and Vlad finally runs back and says, 1B, you fight her in 10 minutes. Go back to the start. And he runs to the washroom, and they're like, what? And she starts laughing her ass off because she saw the popcorn in his hand, Nezu on his shoulder, and Midnight run by. And she goes, oh, maybe I should invite everybody. So she starts going around, and she has all the teachers' texts, and she even has Endeavor and a few of the heroes. So she goes up, Hawks, come to UA, Endeavor, come to UA, Mirko, come to UA. So she starts texting all the heroes that she's met because they're trying to stop her. All the heroes, and they're like, why do we need to go to UA? So they run to UA thinking that it's somebody's in danger, and they run to where she told them to go, and they see the monitoring room. They're like, why do we need to go here? And Aizawa walks by and saying, good, you're here. Get in now. It's funny. And they all are like, what? And Mirko, having the sensitive smell of a rabbit, being able to smell people, smells her wife and walks in. Endeavor, not wanting to be left out of anything, walks in, does not see All Might. And he's like, where's All Might? And he goes, in the medical room. We're waiting 10 minutes exactly from when we told them. And it's been like 5 minutes. So you guys are here on time. We're waiting. We need to wait for Recovery Girl because she wanted to see this. All of a sudden, Power Loader comes in, Cement Toss, Ectoplasm. All the teachers from UA are now in the Teacher's Lounge. And before everybody could get into the normal observation room, Power Loader walked in and being like, want me to set one up in there? And they go, yeah, because we don't have enough room in here for all the teachers. The top 10 pro heroes, some underground heroes, the heroes that she likes, even a mob boss comes in. And they see the boss of the Yakuza, the grandfather. And he walks in and be like, hello, I was formally invited by a Izumi Kisan or Hoshigaki. And they all look at each other and be like, he's the boss of the Yakuza. And all of a sudden, Izumi looks at the security camera and goes, if the Yakuza boss is there, do not kick him out. I invited him. I want him to see this. And she points at them and goes, if you do kick him out, I will find you and I will let Samehara rip you. And they're like, oh God, we don't want that. So they offer him a chair and he's like, thank you. And his bodyguards are told that they can't be in UA. And he's like, that is understandable on one condition. And they go, what is that condition? You arrest Overhaul. And they go, why? And he goes, well, I found out he was scheming against me and he wants to do terrible things to my granddaughter. And they hear this and they go, okay, what does he want to do? And they start taking down notes. And he goes, well, my granddaughter's quirk is very dangerous and she's accidentally hurt her parents with it. And Overhaul wants to take advantage of that with his quirk, Overhaul, to turn quirked people into quirkless people with a bullet. And they hear this and they go, okay, we're going to get on that right after this. And he goes, thank you. And I will not do any criminal activity for the next year because of this. And they go, thank you. And I'm saying that Overhaul was planning this at the beginning of UA, but after UA, after the sports festival is when he actually starts his plan of taking over the Yakuza. That's a little timeline disrupting. So they took all these notes down and like, okay, we're going to get you your deal with the police department and you will be monitored. And he goes, that's fine. But once that year is up, I don't care what I do. I'm continuing my job. And they go, that's fine. You are on the decline. You know that, right? And he goes, yes. Overhaul wants to bring us back, but I honestly want to stay in the old ways. And if we die that way, so be it. And they go, hey, if you want to kill yourself, that's fine with us. We will try to stop you from doing what you do after that 1 year. And he goes, that's fine. I won't do what I do for a year. I have enough to sustain myself for a year. That's fine with me. They strike this deal. Nezu calls up a few buddies to come here and talk with this man after this little demonstration. So Recovery Girl walks in, sits on a chair next to the Yakuza boss, and looks at the Yakuza boss, and her glasses aren't normal glasses. They're able to see injuries and internal health problems easily. They were designed by Power Loader to help with that and to see if her quirk would instead injure not help. And she nudges the old man and kindly says, sir, I have some gadgets on me that say that you're currently sick. And she tells him what his sickness is, and he goes, thank you, I appreciate it. I'll get it checked out immediately. And she goes, you're welcome. Don't try to get any recovery quirks unless it's a time reversal quirk, because that's pretty much the only way we know how to reverse it, is if it's a time reversal quirk. And his eyes light up, and he says, I'd like to change our deal again. I will stop doing any crime, any assault, or any physical harm to anybody. I'll still be selling the only thing that will make me money at this point, but I won't do any physical harm against anybody if you help train my granddaughter. And they hear this and they go, what is her quirk? And he goes, rewind. He tells them everything about his granddaughter and how she's wondering where her parents are. And they ask her, where is she? And he goes, I kind of brought her along to see if I could allow her to see this. And Izumi knows who Eri is, and he finally says the name. And Izumi, with her super hearing, kind of stuck a little shark fin on one of the heroes that's currently in the room, so she can still hear what the conversation is. She looks at the thing and says, Eri, where is she? I want to play with her. And she starts bouncing up and down like a little child. And he goes, she always knows when I say Eri. So he calls up one of his goons and he says, bring in Eri. We have a way to help with her quirk instead of that damn collar that she has that I don't like her wearing. And so the goon had to leave his guns, had to leave all of his weapons, and he brings in Eri. And Eri is scared of the heroes, but sees a hero that she's been told about and knows that is a good hero. Eraserhead. I'm going to leave that little conversation off till next episode. So, cliffhanger for you. And I'm not telling you what Eri looks like yet. Eri still has the horn, yes, but she has a little bit of a different look to her. So, we go to the fight. And Aizawa has pressed the start button, which sends off a buzzer, which tells the villain that they could start doing villainy. So she's like, fog, yes. So she starts emitting the fog from her, and she's on the tallest building, so it starts rolling off the building. And she just sits down and starts bellowing out the fog. And she opened the door to let it into the building. She broke one of the sides, well, all four of the sides, to have it bellow off the building at a fast rate. And it starts flooding the city. Goes through the air ducts, goes through the power cables, and it's 100% pure water, by the way, when it's the fog. But when it starts condensing, it starts pulling the... Yes, there is salt in the atmosphere. It's called chlorine. There is chlorine in the atmosphere. And it starts condensing and pulling in the chlorine to make salt with its chemical reactions. But it's 100% pure, so it has no conductive properties. So, Kaminari has these metal balls that he throws around and he can shoot lightning at. And it's an early form of the disc shooter that he has in the test. The provisional licensing test. It's an early version, so he just throws the balls around to conduct electricity to. So he doesn't have complete control over it. He's still working on it. Now, everybody's stronger in this one. So Bakugo starts flying around looking for the source of the fog, because they can't see the tallest building yet. So she sees that it's bellowing off the tallest building, and then it stops. But the fog is still rising. So she's like, okay, what now? And all of a sudden, the windows, and she sees the door is shut for the building, so she sees the windows start bulging out. And she's like, what the hell's going on there? So she walks up to the windows and she tries looking in, and it's all foggy. She's like, ah, crap. So she runs away as fast as possible using her explosions to speed boost. And Kirishima walks up and sees the fog and hardens at the last second for the glass to shatter at the bottom. And all the windows at the top rupture in and shatter. And this giant wave of heavy condensed fog starts rolling out. So everybody from Class 1A and Class 1B are now covered in this fog. And she can tell who's the strongest and who's the weakest. Bakugo tries something that she thinks might work. So she starts lighting off explosions all around her, which leaves a bubble around her, but she has to continue lighting off explosions to keep the bubble up. So she's like, this isn't going to work too well. Got to find somebody else. We go to the Poltergeist girl from Class 1B, and she starts flinging stuff around her, making a bubble. And it's easy for her because she starts just flinging the random shards of glass, controlling them in weird ways to make the bubble. It's a vacuumed area to make the bubble. And she has a very easy time of it, so he just starts pulling stuff random ways to help with that. And I'm going to adjust her quirk a little. She can pull things in a direct line if it's going towards her at one point. So at any distance, she can pull it towards her at any angle, but it has to be coming at least towards her in some way. So she makes triangles, very, very wide triangles, and it starts making a vortex around her. And the fog starts going around her, and she starts making this go bigger around all the 1B students, not helping the 1A students. Yet, Izumi, wanting to be nice to Katsuki and Mina, uses the silent killing technique and immediately knocks them out. They have a monitor for their vitals. They see their vitals spike and then drop to a unconscious state. And they're like, oh, they're out. So Aizawa's about to, and he sees the middle finger in one of the cameras, because he's like, oh god, she knows that I was about to push it. So he's like, I'm not going to push it then. He looks at Vlad, and Vlad's like, I'm not doing that. And he looks at Nezu, and he's like, I'm not doing that. He starts looking around the room, and the only one who's willing to push it is Endeavor. So he pushes it, and he says, Kasuki Bakugo. And he looks at the paper and says, Mina Ashido are out. And all of a sudden this fog starts rolling into the room, and they're like, oh god, he's dead. And then Endeavor, because she has the ability to transport people in her fog, like her swords and herself, but it's only to other places with fog, gets surrounded by fog and disappears. And like, oof. And Aizawa goes on the loudspeaker saying, Kasuki Bakugo and Mina Ashido are not out. And they all start looking at him like, what did you just do? And the Yakuza boss starts laughing, being like, good choice, because she would have started slowly taking us in there, except for her, you, and me. And I was like, whew, I don't want any more people to witness that. And they're like, witness what? And he goes, what she's doing now is called the silent killing technique. And she named it that, but it's not really silent, because you see the fog, but she is silent, and whenever she kills, it's completely silent. They hear this and go, what? They don't know all of her abilities, they just know she's super strong and basically a god at points. When she's in her fog, or in any kind of fog, she's a god. But when she's outside of fog, she's not. When she's in a dry place, she's weak as all hell. When she's in water, she's literally a god. When she's in a fog, she's the one and only god. God even runs from her fog kind of power. So they all look at it in there, and Monama's like, haha, you can't hurt me. And she grabs him by the neck and throws him down like a, I hope you guys get this reference, but Injustice Superman throwing down either Batman or the Flash. I think it's one of them. But he grabbed it by the neck and slammed them into the ground. And she got right in front of Minetta's face. And her face is changing into that of a shark. Because she is starting to use a lot of energy and starting to get hungry. So she roars at him, which sharks don't actually have vocal cords, so they can't really roar. She used her vocal cords to make a roar sound, and the wide mouth that she has gained helped bellow the sound into an actual roar. Everybody hears this because it reverberates through the water, making it sound like it came from everywhere at once. So they're freaking out. Oh crap, it's really windy. Oh shit, I'm being attacked by leaves. So she's freaking everybody out with her presence, and she starts talking to people like, I'm behind you, that kind of talking. And so everybody starts freaking out, like, where is she, what is she doing? And all of a sudden they hear screams. And these screams are coming from left, right, up, down, in front, behind. And they're turning around like, what the heck is going on? And they're just coming from everywhere. And it's too many screams. She's making one scream go left, then right, then up, down, back, front. Just in random orders for everybody. Because she has control over everything in the mist. The only way she can transport people is if she grabs the person and then transports them with her. And all of a sudden they hear Endeavor screaming. Shota hears this and starts laughing. Because she hasn't heard her father scream ever. So he screams in terror. And she starts laughing, and then she's like, oh crap. If he's screaming, that means it's really bad. So she starts freaking out, like, what's happening? Then all of a sudden, Endeavor gets thrown in front of her. Just out of nowhere. He falls in front of her. And she starts laughing at him. No water. She starts laughing at him. And everybody starts hearing this laughter. And it's Shota. It's either Shota or... I think I made her female. I think I did. Water. So... Kendo is moving her arms around like she did in the forest training camp. And yes, there's going to be a lot of spoilers for later in the show, because, well, why wouldn't there be? I'm bringing in 1B earlier. There's a lot of tension currently in the air. You could pretty much cut it with a knife, like the fog that's currently around them. But Kendo starts swinging her arms around, making an area where the fog doesn't touch her. But the fog is still misty. It's not complete fog where she can't see anything. And she has trouble breathing, so I'm saying that she has asthma. And this water is getting into her lungs and activating her asthma. And Izumi has been currently checking up on all the students. So if someone has like a breathing problem, she will help with the breathing problem. And Izumi finally gets around to checking on Kendo. It's been like 3 minutes since they started. And all these people are freaking out, like, what's going on? What's happening? And Kendo's having a hard time breathing, and she's still swinging her arms. And Izumi walks out of the fog, being like, whoa, hold up. And she just walks in front of Kendo and grabs her by the throat and releases. And then walks away. Walks into the fog and disappears. And Kendo's tired, and she can't lift her arms anymore, so she ungigantifies her hands, and the fog starts touching her again, and she's like, oh crap, I'm not going to be able to breathe again. And all of a sudden, she's breathing fine still. She's like, what's going on? And she feels an arm on her shoulder, and Izumi goes, don't worry, I helped your breathing just a little bit. So once this thing is over, you're going to go back to being bad lunged. I just helped clear your lungs of fluid. I used the fog to take it all out slowly. Well, actually quickly, but you're going to be able to breathe fine for a while. You really need to go get your asthma checked out. Yeah, that's it. Good luck. And she just disappears again. And Kendo's like, whoa. Cool. So we go to the current class that's in 1B. And the poltergeist girl, because Monoma and Kendo were... Well, Kendo was trying to stop Monoma from going into the fog and being stupid, but she was too late. So Monoma got slammed in the ground. The poltergeist girl currently has a whirlwind around. All of a sudden, they hear ting, 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 ting. Like something's... Like the glass is hitting metal. Early. Then they look at where it is, and they see a giant shield? And then they look at it closer, and it's a giant frickin' sword. Like, what? All of a sudden, everybody starts getting touched by the mist. And... Yeah, I have a lot of Discord notifications. Everybody starts getting touched by the mist, and they feel hands and feet hitting them, or hands grabbing them, and feels a pair of eyes staring at them. And they have all these weird sensations because the mist is touching them. And the poltergeist girl once she gets touched by the mist, she all of a sudden feels a hand on her. And Izumi goes, I like you. I have a job for you. And she starts shaking in fear because Izumi just appeared there. And she goes, what? And she goes, well, I need you to do something for me. And only you can do it. Hopefully you can do it really well. I need you to trap the class 1A students in a bubble of my fog. And she's like, I don't think I can do that. And Izumi goes, oh, don't worry. You just need to make the same vortex with me in it. That's it. And she goes, okay. And she's like, but I can only pull things towards me. And she goes, oh, so it looks like you're going to be in it too. Well, all of a sudden, Izumi disappears. She still feels the hand on her, and then her classmates start yelling in pain or screaming in fear. And Izumi gets back to her, and this was like 5 seconds later, and she goes, what have you been using to knock people out? And she goes, oh, I've been using the blunt Kubikiri Bocho. And she goes, the what? And she goes, the blunt executioner's blade. I've been using the back of it, and I've been hitting people really hard. So there's been a little bit of blood. So that's why the sword's almost back. And the poltergeist girl goes, "Oh, what?" And she goes, "Oh, don't worry. You don't need to worry about it. I need your help though." So the poltergeist girl goes with her to the middle of 1A, and all the students in 1A are currently next to the shattered building because they all ran to see what's going on with the windows. And Kirishima is currently still picking glass pieces out of him because that explosion lodged a few pieces in the cracks that he has. So he finally picks the last piece of glass out, and then a piece of glass shoots into his gut. And he unhardened his gut, so he's like, "Damn it!" And Poltergeist goes, "Oh crap, sorry." And she starts apologizing really bad, and Izumi starts laughing and goes, "Oh, don't apologize. He can't hear you. He doesn't even know it was you. He thinks it was me." It's like, "Damn it, Izumi! Where the hell are you?" And so she starts making a giant bubble of the glass, and yes, it's still a triangle, but it's a much bigger triangle. Actually, no, she's more making a star. Oh crap. I'm not walking around because if I walk around, wind. But she's more making a star. So she's in the center without any fog, but Izumi has been putting fog into each of the other vortexes. So everybody's in a vortex of their own. Maybe 2 or 3 people are in a vortex. And Aizawa sees this and goes, glad we installed that thermal imaging." He turns on the thermal imaging and he can't see anything into the fog except for a faint humanoid shape. And he's like, Nezu? And Nezu goes, "Yeah, when she's in the fog, she's technically not actually there. And nobody's there. So, yeah." "Oh, you haven't even seen her thickest fog yet." And he goes, "What?" And Nezu goes, "Yeah, you've seen Mist. You've seen World of Mist. You haven't seen her final fog yet." And she says that nothing can escape the final fog, not even her. She has to turn the move off to actually be able to get into the fog. Okay. Get into the fog and get out of the fog. And the heroes who finally woke up and walked into the observation room heard the final fog that she can't even get out of and start shivering in fear. And the Yakuza boss goes, "So, I'm guessing you guys have seen it." And they go, "Maybe." And they go, "We don't remember." All of a sudden she said something in a, I think, different language. And he goes, No, it wasn't a different language. She just said it so strangely. She literally says labyrinth of fog backwards. And I go, "Wait, what?" He goes, "Yeah. She says labyrinth of fog backwards." Actually, no, she says the world's labyrinth out of fog backwards, which is very strange. But she literally pretty much says labyrinth of fog backwards. And all of a sudden they hear something said backwards and they're like, "Oh God." The glass stops moving, just drops to the floor, and she can't activate her quirk anymore. Bakugo is finally waking up. Mina's waking up. Monoma's they're all waking up now. And they start walking. And when people say labyrinth, they think, "Oh, it's a maze that constantly changes, or a maze that can't be solved." Well, with her, it's a maze that no one can move except her. So Bakugo stands up and starts walking, but can't walk. Mina stands up, starts walking, but isn't walking. So it's like a treadmill. They think they're walking, but they're actually not. So, yeah, it's a little confusing. Crap. If you guys understood what I said, good for you. If you guys didn't, oh well. Maybe you can understand it later. But we go to an hour later. Izumi's finally like, I'm tired of this. So she deactivates all her fog and just stands in the center of the area and yawns. And all of a sudden, everybody sees her and goes, What were you doing? Oh crap, I yawned now. I freaking yawn. I hate it. They all look at her and like, what's going on? And she goes, you're all idiots that haven't done anything for the last 2 minutes. And she says 2 minutes. I'm like, wait, what? It's felt like hours. And I saw hears this goes, oh my god. Is she going to actually pull the wool over their eyes? And Nezu goes, shut up. You're going to ruin it. And Eri has been watching in complete and utter fascination and just awestruck at how powerful Izumi is. So Monoma is currently seething with rage. Kirishima is seething with rage because he looks at Katsuki and sees that Katsuki is staring at her, awestruck. Katsuki's bad attitude has been being fixed with Izumi's help. Tetsu has seen her power and is like, yeah, I ain't gonna mess with her, but damn, she's strong. So he has more respect for her. And a lot of other people are like, okay, don't mess with Izumi. Okay. You're gonna hear a witness. Sorry, I gotta stand up. I gotta stand up and start walking around her. I'm gonna fall asleep on you guys. Then all of a sudden you just hear snoring during the video. I don't want that. It'd be just... Sounds like I'm trying to hack up a loogie. So, she pulls out a sword, the needle sword, and starts throwing it around. And they see her just throwing it around, it wrapping around stuff. They see her basically dancing in midair with the sword. All of a sudden, she lands on something, like a dancer would land in a ballerina performance on the very tips of her feet. And they see this and they're like, whoa. And all of a sudden something's tightening around their feet. They look down and they see wire around them. And like, when did that get there? And they look at her and she just waves by and jumps on it. What they didn't see was the illusion that the fog was making in front of them. So, on instinct, they fall back. They think their legs were just chopped off, but she's still just pulling it with her hand. So, her hand is currently clawing the wire at her feet, and she's currently clawing it, and she's having herself flip, do all these different moves, like a dancer would do in midair, or a fighter would do on the mat. And she's doing this, just bouncing around people, continuously putting wires around them. But what she's really doing is using her fog to summon and desummon the needle. So she's like, I can make them see whatever the hell I want. So she gets back to where she was, and she lands on it, and she starts pulling another one at the same time. And they feel this tightness around their neck, so they start breathing heavy. 1B is currently knocked out completely. 1A is... Well, 1B was just being knocked out with the first one, because she cut off the blood flow in the arteries. So blood not running to the brain, can't oxygenate the brain. So, yeah, they're kind of out like a light. So we go to 1A, and they're currently having the same thing happen to them. So, just to freak the heroes out, she jumps on it. And Eri isn't seeing any of this, because she can change the perception of everybody. Eri's just seeing the white screen. She asks, why is this screen white? Just after she jumped again, which cut all their heads off. And the heroes are freaking out, like, what's going on? What's going on? And the Yakuza boss starts laughing his butt off, because he just noted, when Eri asked why is the screen white, the Yakuza boss noticed what's happening. And he says, calm down, it's an illusion. And they all go, what? He goes, yes. And he turns the screen off, and turns it back on, and it resets what they're thinking, and they see people tied up, currently hanging with a... I don't say ever do this, ever. They're hanging with a strange looking noose around their head. Never hang yourself with a noose. Never do that. Never ever. It's just a description of what it looks like. Looks like they're hanging with a strange noose around their head. And they see 2 contact points underneath the chin and behind the head. Chin is being pulled up, and the back of the head's being pulled up, so they can't move their head. But they're still getting hung like a noose. But since the noose isn't at their neck, it's not actually pulling their head down. So Aizawa stops freaking out, like, whew, okay, we had a scare there. And Izumi appears out of the fog and drops Endeavor, being like, I got you. And they all look, okay, did you ever turn off the quirk? And she goes, no, that's still a fake image. I knocked them all out, then I just left them there. Kasuki should be waking up now. That last image of Kasuki was not real. And they'll go, what? And she goes, yeah. And she runs over to Eri, gives Eri a big hug, and goes, I'll have some fun. And Eri goes, yeah. So she walks over to the vent and puts her hand over the vent. And this mist starts flowing out of her hand. And they go, what are you doing? And she goes, I'll be right back. And she hugs Eri, and all of a sudden this cloud of mist goes around them. And they're gone. The mist goes poof and falls to the floor and gets sucked into the vent. In Izumi's room, a giant cloud of mist appears and goes poof, and they're there. All of a sudden the mist goes everywhere, and it's like Nightcrawler's teleportation, but it's not. So we go to next day, and Izumi's sleeping in. She's sleeping in underwater, obviously. And Kasuki finally had the guts to ask her about something. And she walks in and sees Izumi. The water's completely clear. The swords are asleep and at the bottom of the pool, just lying there. And the swords all of a sudden poof into a cloud of fog, and bubbles rush up to the top, and Izumi's body gets flung into the air and crashes down in the water, and she slowly wakes up after that. And Kasuki saw this entire thing, goes, what? And Izumi goes, oh god. freaking slept like a baby. What? Who's there? And looks at Kasuki and goes, "Oh, my little tabby. What do you want?" And Kasuki's face goes red, going, "Please don't call me that." And she goes, "But it's true. What do you want?" And she goes, "Well, I have two questions. One, did you know your swords have fish forms?" And she goes, yeah. And she looks at her elbow and goes, God damn it. So she summons Samehada and starts beating the crap out of the shark and goes, "If you're gonna freaking bite me, heal me." And Samehada's in a broken, bleeding mess on the current side of the pool. So she flings it into the water and her elbow heals. And Samehada just disappears. And she summons Samehada as a blade and stabs it into the ground and goes, "You don't get any food today." And you could feel the regret from Samehada just irradiating off the blade. I'm gonna leave it there. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you guys made it this far into the video, please consider subscribing if you guys like my content, and if you guys want more of this, what was I about to say? Consider hitting that like button. And if you guys really want to support me, also leave a comment. And if you guys made it into this far into the video to leave a comment, type either bikini, kill Samehada, well, not actually kill Samehada, bad Samehada, or bad fish blade. And I know it's a shark blade, not a fish blade. I know that. Bad shark blade or fish blade, or fish blades. And if you do that, you guys should do that on my Discord. I'll try to leave a link in the description, and if I can't, I'll pin it as a comment. But join my Discord, put that in the answer column, and you'll get 500 points from either me or another admin. So, and if you're an admin, I need to give you points. If I remember correctly, we just got a new admin, and that's thanks to him for helping me set up a Discord server, Grimlock. Go congratulate him on the Discord if you're already in the Discord. If you're not, consider getting onto the Discord and congratulating him, because he's not an admin. Yay! But any of the admins, I'll try to see if I can, if Grimlock can give points. I have to give him infinite so I can give points to people. Hopefully I can. But talk to you guys later. Bye!